Hey there everybody, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, or welcome to my channel if you're new. So, exciting news guys, I am officially blonde, got my highlights done for the summer, so you'll be seeing a new updated blonde Jackie on this channel obviously. So today's video is really exciting guys. We are going to be doing shading inequalities. I get a bunch of requests for this all the time, and on lives on TikTok, I feel like people sometimes get confused. You shade over the line, under the line, in the circle, outside of the circle. What exactly do you do? So that's the point of this video. That's what we're going to cover. And again, I just wanted to let everyone know all of the links for our upcoming SAT crash courses, like the June SAT crash course and our SAT math workbook. I will drop all of those in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump into today's video. All right, so why don't we begin here by just talking about simply how to go about shading in an inequality. So I have drawn right here for us the line y equals x plus 2. So what does it mean if they tell us to shade y is greater than or equal to x plus 2? So what we first want to notice right here is that this is our y-axis and that this is our x-axis. Of course, this should probably not strike us as any crazy new type of information. All right, so when they tell us that y is greater than or equal to x plus 2, they're telling us that we want all y values that exceed or that are greater than the line y equals x plus 2 itself. So what that means then is that for this particular inequality, we're going to want to shade above the line because we want to include all y values that are greater than what the line actually is itself. However, when they ask us to shade y is less than or equal to x plus 2, they want us to include all y values right here. We're not going to circle all of them that are underneath that line. So that means then that we would shade underneath if they said that y was less than or equal to x plus 2. Okay. So why don't we first start? We're going to start with some SAT problems. We're going to do 2 of those, and then we're going to head over to 2 ACT problems as well. Alrighty, so let's begin then with question 27 here, which is from PSAT number 1. So what I first want to convey, I think this confuses some students, we can see that this line right over here is a solid line. So whenever we see a solid line, that means it's either going to be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Whenever we see that we have a solid line, it's definitely going to mean at least equal to. But whenever we have a dashed line, like we have over here, a dashed line means it's either going to be greater than or less than. There's no equal to component for that situation. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and erase all of that so we can actually take a look at this problem then right here. So first things first, we need to make sure that we're getting all of the lines, or rather the inequalities, into y equals mx plus b form. So we can easily visualize what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. So we can see that the first inequality here is already in the right form, so that's good. So we can go ahead and shade that one in already. So they're telling us right here that y is less than or equal to negative x. So that refers to this line right here because that's a negative slope and it goes through the point 0, 0, which means, again, the y-intercept here is 0. So they're telling us that we want all values of y that are less than that line. So that means shade underneath the line. But for the other inequality here, we could see that it's not in the right form, so we're going to have to get it into the y equals mx plus b type of form first before we can go about shading it. So we're going to want to divide both sides here by 2, so we get that y is greater than 3 over 2x plus 1, which obviously we can tell is going to be this line right over here that we're shading in that light green color. So they want all values of y that are greater than this. So that means we're going to shade above that line. All right, but the thing is, we can see that the only area here of intersection is going to be section R that I'm bounding right here in this gray-black color, because that's the only region where both of those shadings actually intersect with each other. So the answer then has to be which sections would represent the solutions. It would just have to be choice A, which is section R featured right over here. Alrighty. Let's then check out number 14 from practice test 9. So we can see that the first equation up here is already in the ideal y equals, or y is greater than whatever it is, mx plus b form. So this one's good to go. So we can already go ahead and shade that in. So we want the positive line then that has a y-intercept then of positive 2, which is going to be the one that I'm marking right here in pink. So we want y to be greater, so that means we got to shade above that. So we're going to shade above that in all of them, and we can see automatically that choices A and D do not have that offered as an option. So A and D have got to go because the actual shaded region does not intersect at all with what we just drew. All right, and the bottom one here, we definitely need to, as we said, get that into the ideal y equals mx plus b form. So we're going to want to move over the 2x here. So we're left then with 3y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 6. Divide both sides here by 3. We get that y is less than or equal to negative 2 over 3x plus 2. So this one, let's put again in green. So that's going to refer to this line right over here. There it is. Okie doke. So now that we have that line identified, we know that we want y to be less than. So we want to shade underneath that line. So I don't even need to do A and D because those are out. So shade underneath. Shade underneath. We can see that in choice C, what we just shaded doesn't actually correspond with the section that they shaded, so C has got to go. It needs to be choice B then, because we can see that this little area right here actually is shaded in for both of those inequalities that we have. So choice B then is going to be correct. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to the ACT. So the ACT likes to spice things up a little bit more than the SAT does, in that they like to basically include circle inequalities as well. Alrighty, so what that means then is that when we look right here, we can see that we have the circle x squared plus y squared equals 9. So just as a little rehash for anybody who's unfamiliar with the equation of a circle, I have another video on this. It's just going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So in this formula, h comma k represents the center of the circle and r represents the radius of the circle. Okay. So what that means then right here, the reason why this is occurring at the origin is because the center is located at 0, 0, which is why we get the x squared and the y squared. And it means that the radius then, if 9 is equal to r squared, then we know that r is equal to 3, which we can see the radius right here is equal to 3. Alrighty, so that's a little bit of background. Not that that's so essential to this problem, but I like to explain what's going on. So when they tell us that x squared plus y squared is greater than or equal to 9, what we want to remember is that this circle right here that we drew, I'm going to highlight it in blue, this is actually where x squared plus y squared is equal to 9. So if we want where x squared plus y squared is going to be greater than or equal to 9, we need to then go ahead and shade around that area, because that's going to be all combinations where x squared plus y squared is going to exceed or be equal to positive 9. However, if we want x squared plus y squared to be less than or equal to 9, we're going to shade inside the circle, because all points would be less than what's bounded by that circle right there. Okie doke. So why don't we first try number 56? These questions with the circle inequalities usually do appear towards the upper end of the test. So again, we got to get everything into y equals mx plus b for the lines, and we need to get everything into the equation of a circle formula for the circle. So the top equation here refers to a line, and the bottom equation here refers to a circle. Alrighty, so let's start with the top equation first. So we're going to have to subtract x from both sides. We get 2y is less than or equal to negative x plus 6, and then divide both sides by 2. We get that y is less than or equal to negative 1/2 x plus 3, which, like we said, is going to refer to the line. So the line is represented here, 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 and here. Alrighty, so first and foremost, we know that it's going to be less than or equal, so it automatically can't be choice G because that's just saying less than or greater than whatever the directionality is. So we know that it's got to include an equal, so it needs to be a solid line, not a dashed line. And we know that we need to shade underneath the line. So under the line, we got to shade here, 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 and here. So we can also knock out then choice H because it did not shade underneath the line. Alrighty, so we also know that it needs to be y is less than or equal to negative 1/2 x. So we need something that has a negative slope. Line J right here, this is a positive slope, so automatically that would also be grounds to knock out choice J. So now we're left with F or K. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and see what's going on here. So again, we got to get this circle equation. I'm just going to rewrite it over here. We got to get it into what we know the equation of a circle represents. So we're going to want to add the 3y squared to both sides. We get 3x squared plus 3y squared is greater than 12. Divide both sides here by 3. We get that x squared plus y squared is greater than 4. So that means, again, that the radius is going to be equal to 2 and that the origin, 0, 0, is going to be the center of the circle. Okay, so the radius is going to be 2, which means that that has to go with choice K right over here. We can see that the radius being represented in choice F is way too big to actually represent that circle, so choice K needs to be correct. And again, the reason why we're shading outside of, not that they gave us an option that didn't, but the reason why we're shading outside of that area is because we want all values of x squared and y squared that exceed the circle, that are greater than the 4. Alrighty, and our last problem here is number 49. So we're asked which inequalities will represent the shaded region. So now we're not shading, we're just trying to represent what they shaded. So we have the line y equals negative x plus 2, and we can see that we shaded underneath the line right over here. We shaded underneath. So we need then for y to be less than that. So choice A is good, choice B is out, C is out, D is going to be good, and then choice E, that's not even really representing a line here, so that's not going to work. Alrighty, so now we're left with A and D, and we can see that the area that's shaded in the circle is actually inside of the circle, which means that we want this right here to be less than 9. So when we look at choice A, that's exactly what it's representing. D is saying that it's greater than 9, so that's not going to work. When it's in the circle, it's got to be less than whatever that constant is on the other side. So it's got to then be choice A. So there we go, guys. That's inequalities. We could see that they're a little bit different on the SAT versus the ACT, but same ideas, generally speaking, apply to how to go about shading the inequalities. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and learned quite a lot about shading in inequalities and how exciting it really is on the SAT and the ACT. All sarcasm aside, guys, make sure to follow me on TikTok. My username on there is Test Prep Tips. And again, all of the links for our upcoming crash courses and our SAT math book will be dropped in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care and have an awesome rest of your day.